welcome to episode number 2 of the Sypno Tech Show. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm joined by, as always, the lovely Lida.
Hello.
And today, our episode, we have a very special guest. We actually teased him last week. He's fresh back from China. He is an architect who uses technology all the time in the field, whether it's a tablet or a 2-in-1 or a phone. This is our really good friend, Benny Yeh.
Yay!
Benny, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Welcome,
Good,
Benny.
thank you for having me.
So, today's episode is filmed on May 28, 2016. It's a very special episode because, as we teased last time, Benny actually just came back from a trip to China.
Yay!
And Lida and I are really big fans of Chinese OEMs because we really do feel China is the future of technology if they aren't already the current kings of technology. So we dedicate this entire episode to talking about Chinese OEMs that you might have or might not have heard of. So we're really, really excited to talk about this topic today, right?
It'll be a special one.
And because we've all had Chinese phones before in the past, and there's a common misperception that Chinese products are inferior. And while that may be true in the past, it's not so much in 2016, right? Or even 2015.
Times are changing. Times are changing.
Yes.
Right. What kind of Chinese products have you guys had in the past experience with?
I had the Xiaomi Mi 4i, and I had that I think last year for a little bit, and I liked it.
Had it for like half a year.
I had it
You
for
used
about-
it as your daily driver for
Yeah,
half a year.
yeah, and it was pretty good. The only problem with mine was I couldn't access the 4G network.
Right. Well, that's a common thing because they don't have the proper band capabilities. But that's quickly changing, and we're going to talk about a story later on from ZTE, the Axon. So, yeah, Benny, what products have you used from China?
I had a Xiaomi Mi Pad. I used that for a while.
Yeah, you and I both used the original Mi Pad as our
original
daily
Mi Pad,
driver
yes.
tablets.
Yeah.
How did you like that?
It's a good tablet, but the downside is that there aren't any updates for the software.
Well, no, they updated it now, slowly. It took a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Took a while.
No, I understand. Yeah, the Xiaomi is notoriously slow for updating their devices. And while we're at this, the nickname we have for this guy is Mr. Pixel. Because he
It's
is
true.
an advent for screen quality. This guy will literally hold the phone
Can I
to
do it?
his
Can I do it?
face
Can I do it?
to look at each pixel and compare each device.
It happens at every store we go into too. He glances at it and he tilts every single device just slightly ever so and inspects it.
He's very meticulous on screen quality, and to his credit, he can tell the difference between a 4K and a 2K screen, and
He's
he
either that
notices
good.
every little pixel that's either a dead pixel or light bleed. So we always go to him when we want him to check out to our screens to see if we have a lemon or something.
20/20 vision, have any?
So yeah, I guess before we get started at looking at some of the really big stories coming out of Asia this week, let's talk a little bit about like the actual stuff in China, like someone who's actually been there recently.
Mm-hmm.
So Benny did us a favor and went to the Xiaomi store in China. He went to a Xiaomi store in China. How was the experience there?
I did. I visited a Xiaomi store in Beijing, and it was pretty much like an Apple store. Just imagine an Apple store, but with Xiaomi products
He
He
took
took
and,
some pictures too.
and
Right.
the Xiaomi logo instead of the Apple logo, and everything was pretty much like laid out. Really
So it's
cleanly.
very Apple-esque.
It's very yes.
Very
I would say.
Apple-esque.
Yeah.
What would you say the traffic was like though? Was it as much people as Apple or less, way less, or?
I think there were a good amount of people in there. Maybe fewer than Apple, but still a good amount of people looking at the products.
Because retail stores, as we know, is key to brand awareness. You go into a mall and you see an Apple store and you see people waiting in line. You want to go in and see what it's all about. You go through and you see those big empty windows that you can walk by and see through, and you see all the people in there and all the nice products. You want to go in there, right? So Xiaomi, I think, was smart to expand. When Lida and I visited Hong Kong in 2015, they just had a couple of stores there, and they expanded in 2016 to a new store. And I think retail is very understated in marketing, right?
It is. The store we went to,
As a marketer,
yes.
do you agree with that?
Absolutely. The store we went to wasn't even a full-size store yet at that point, and they weren't carrying everything that they had yet. I don't even know if they had everything when you went to the actual Xiaomi store.
For the pictures he showed me, they
They
had
had all the
Did.
products plus.
What did they have? What did you see there?
They have phones, of course, and their tablets. They
Specifically, like the specifics. The Mi 5, you saw
also had.
the
Yeah,
Mi
they
5,
had all the
right?
phones. The Mi 5,
The Max.
the newly introduced Mi Max phone.
Right. That literally was out like the day before he went introduced.
Yeah,
so.
they had all the demos. All
Yeah.
the colors were there for you to
that's
look at, and the Mi Pad.
Yeah.
The Windows version, and also the MIUI version. Yeah, they also had other electronics like TVs
Yes,
and
the Mi TV.
other household electronics like air purifiers
They're
and
known for that in
yeah,
Asia.
just pretty much general electronic stuff.
Yeah.
That Xiaomi makes them.
Yeah, and of course the Mi Band and all that good
Right,
jokes.
yeah.
So they basically had the whole arsenal, the
Wow.
headphones too.
They
and
have
all that.
headphones
Right.
and Bluetooth headsets.
So it's like a full blown retail store.
It's a retail store. It
Yeah.
had all electronics you need. You needed, yeah.
Wow. So Xiaomi followed the Apple trend, and it's basically a full lineup of products in China, which is awesome. By now, we probably put some photos up that you've been seeing. So it's very Apple-esque. And Benny actually did purchase a few things. However, what was the purchase experience like? Because you and I were texting back and forth when you were there, talking about what we were going to buy, right?
Oh, right. Yes, the employees there, they actually don't talk to you until you ask them for any products or any questions you have about the products. They pretty much leave you alone
Oh, wow.
to play with the phones.
So they don't offer any.
They don't talk to you at all.
Even if the store is crowded, right?
Right, yeah.
Huh. Okay, so that's kind of different from Apple.
Right, so you would just be playing with the phone, and yeah, no one will come up to you.
Well, maybe they're just letting you, experience
Yeah,
the full
I think that's
Experiment
what
with
they're
it.
doing. And
MIUI experience. Yeah.
then, if you have a question, they will gladly answer it, or if you want them to get a product from the back.
But then the stocking, the
Yeah,
stocks.
How is that?
There wasn't a lot of stock,
Oh, there wasn't
right?
a lot. Yeah, the Mi 5 was not in stock at all. They didn't have any. They
Any?
they said most people just buy online.
Yeah,
Oh.
it was pretty funny because we were texting. He was like, "Should we get the Mi 5?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. The Mi 5 is the new big one." So he was talking to the rep, and after a couple minutes, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't have any of it in stock." And then Benny looked at me, texted me, and was like, "Well, what about the Mi Max?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, that's a new one. We can review that for the channel.
Oh, we don't
Everybody's
have
talking about it with the crazy gigantic battery." And then Benny asked the guy, and he was like,
Yeah, they didn't have it.
"Nope, it's not in stock either."
So we went back and forth.
Yeah.
Even like the Mi Pad 2 Windows, they didn't have. I was gonna get
Right.
that.
The Mi Pad Windows, we wanted to get that, and we eventually settled on the Android version, which we'll take a look on the channel very soon. And we also wanted to take a look at the Redmi Note 2, I think, the LTE one, and they didn't have that either, right?
No, yeah, we pretty much just got whatever they had.
Yeah, we literally picked up whatever they had left. So
Yeah.
it was literally that Mi Pad 2, and I've been testing out the Mi Note. This is the Mi Note from last year, and I actually
Nice.
really like this right now. This is one of my. I'm using it as a kind of like a mini tablet with. It doesn't have LTE bands, so I'm using it as like a mini tablet with 3G access on it. So if I'm traveling or something like that, and I need a tablet. Well, even though it's not really a tablet, it's 5.7 inches, but it's still gigantic compared to my 4-inch phone, so it's like a tablet in general. So when I think of it that way, where it's just a tablet with 3G access,
It
it's
works.
actually pretty darn cool. So we're going to take a look at that on the channel. My review will be coming very soon, so be sure to subscribe. But anyway, in terms of Xiaomi and retail stores, let's go to our first story of the week. And this is breaking from ZTE. So ZTE, as we talked about on the previous episode, is a Chinese company. It's actually a pretty big Chinese company. And last year, they launched the Axon phone in the Amazon store.
Which I didn't think was very good looking.
Right, so Lida hated the design with the grills, but they are back with the Axon 7, which we touched upon a little bit. It's official now. The specs are fully out. Everything is out. We'll talk about that right after this. But in comparison to Xiaomi, the ZTE Axon, ZTE is opening 23 retail stores. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Let me confirm this. Yeah, ZTE is opening 23 retail stores to boost phone sales. Then they're trying to build brand awareness in China, but it's also opening in
Europe as
Europe,
well.
Germany, Russia, and also Mexico. So that has to be pretty big news, right?
Yeah. Well, I do think they're also trying to boost their sales. So I think getting, the whole marketing aspect of it, getting a shop in these countries will just boost brand awareness as well.
Oh, definitely. I like we were just talking earlier in the segment. If you just have a shop somewhere where people can walk by, see all your products, window shop, they know what it is now. People who have no idea what ZTE is walk by and see a premium looking cell phone. They want to go in and take a look at it and play with it, right? So the more retail stores, the better. Well, at least that's how I think. Betty, what do you think? If you walk by and you saw a ZTE store, a retail store that looks similar to the Xiaomi store, would you go in?
Yes, I definitely would. And in China, there are a lot of department stores that are basically all cell phones. They have you walk into
Electronics.
this big electronics store. You walk into this big mall, and they have stations where you would have a Huawei store here, and then you have like an iPhone store here, and then you have a Samsung store there, and then you have other Chinese brand cell phones just placed everywhere within the floor, and it's very convenient. And you have access to all the phones, and you can check them out.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much compare all the phones right there without going anywhere else.
Yeah, I feel like Asia, that's what Asia does really well.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what country you go to, Japan, Korea, or even China, or especially China. You walk down the street and you see so many tech stores. It's not like here in the States where you have to go to the mall to go to the Apple shop, and that's about it because we don't, or Best Buy. So seeing ZTE branch out, it's pretty neat. I hope they can come here because our retail stores are dying off, as we know.
It's true.
Sony just closed off basically every single one of their retail stores. I don't think Microsoft stores can last too much longer either. The only retail store from OEMs left is basically Apple in the States. So it's pretty refreshing to see ZTE opening retail stores, even though it's not in North America yet, except for Mexico. They are supposedly trying to boost sales from 53 million units sold in 2015 to 70 million this year. So maybe they'll reach their goal, but
I think it's a good thing because when you have a physical store for someone to go into as well, what people know right now, they know Samsung, they know Apple, they know all the big key players, but with these up and coming companies, by having a store, people can go in and experience the devices freely. They can play around with it. It's not like when you're looking at something online and you're not quite sure if you're gonna like the interface, if you're gonna like what the phone or the device looks like, then you have the ability to go in, play with it first, and then make a decision.
that's very true, and that actually leads us to our second story. Good transition there. The ZTE Axon 7. So what Lida was saying right there was a lot of merit because I was going to purchase the Axon last year from Amazon. The specs looked awesome. Pricing was incredibly cheap. And the phone, we disagree on this, but I think it looked gorgeous. But I've never had it in my hand before. So I didn't know what to expect from it. I mean, there's certain things like the Xiaomi stuff where you just read so much about it. There's so much hype, like the OnePlus One.
Yeah.
You used the OnePlus One as your daily driver for a
Bought it
year.
on a whim and I loved it.
Exactly. Those you take a risk on because of the crazy hype on it, right? However, ZTE, it's not an up-and-coming company. It's one of the biggest tech companies in the world. It's just not that popular in the U.S. yet. So naturally, we as natural consumers didn't take a risk on it. But as Lida was saying, if you have a retail store and you can go in and actually feel it and touch it and see how it is in your hands and the operating system, it influences it.
Yeah.
So, however, ZTE is gonna release the Axon 7 with some crazy specs. So we actually talked about this. Rumors about it last week before they announced the official ZTE Axon 7. It's going to be released on Amazon, but we did find out that Apparently, this phone was helped designed by BMW's Design Works. BMW's Design Works. They collaborated to work on the Axon 7.
Yes.
So a car manufacturer helped design the Axon 7. As Benny is a big car enthusiast, these two actually are big car enthusiasts. How do you feel about a car manufacturer helping design a smartphone from China?
Well, if they have a BMW helping them design it, it probably will look good.
What, do you think it looks good? Looking at the based on the pictures, it looks like an
pictures-
HTC
I don't
One
see
It
how-
does.
to
It
me.
looks like an HTC.
I don't see how BMW's design language came into
Yeah,
this phone, but
yeah.
Well, what is BMW's design language outside of cars, right? So it's pretty interesting. But just to go into the specs, to confirm the specs, we have a 5.5-inch Quad HD AMOLED screen. So this is the AMOLED screen. It's I think the three of us agree. Mr. Pixel here also likes AMOLED screens compared to all the other ones. So
gonna look
5.5
nice.
Quad HD 1440p screen. And it comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 processor, so the highest end processor
It's gonna be speedy.
from Snapdragon. And we are looking at a 4GB of RAM model with 64GB of internal storage. There apparently is also a 6GB of RAM model, which is
That's crazy.
it's insane.
That's crazy.
I remember when the Zenfone 2 first came out, it was the first phone with 4GB. Everyone was going crazy. This is a 6GB
Yeah.
phone, potentially. And it also features a 20-megapixel camera and a back camera and an 8-megapixel front camera with Android Marshmallow and a 3,140 milliamp battery out of the box. So spec-wise, this looks
It's impressive.
It looks like the full
Yeah.
package. And the audio is who made the audio? Who put the audio on this?
I'm not sure.
There was I'm gonna run some. We're gonna check really quickly, and I'll actually fill it in if I haven't found it yet. But the audio quality is from the reviews that I've seen. The early reviews have been really positive, and the front speakers is basically kind of like HTC's boom sound speakers, but it just looks better and it sounds better than what HTC is doing with the 10 because the HTC kind of removed the boom speakers. So if you like audio, the ZTE Axon 7 supposedly. And we haven't reviewed it yet. We will when we get ours in, whenever we order it. It will have really good audio, so I'm really excited to take a look at that. But yeah, BMW with Axon. Axon also has a store now, or 23 stores across China and Europe. And they are ranked 6th in global smartphone shipments. So
They're getting ready to.
branch out.
To
So
come
hopefully
out,
this
yeah.
pops them up because when this comes out on Amazon, we are purchasing it right away. And the pricing, while they haven't made it official yet, or they have, maybe I just skipped over it, but it's around, I think, the 400 range, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Did we take a look at the ZTE Axon?
I think it is around that range.
Right, but yeah, it's between, for the base model, it's about the 400 range. So that's pretty equivalent to what they were selling the Axon last year on Amazon. So the first Axon. So the pricing is still very competitive. So it's a great, great price. Moving on to another one of our favorite brands to talk about. Not necessarily good or bad. They have some pretty interesting gimmicks. OnePlus. We'll let Lida talk about this one because she is our resident OnePlus user. She was a OnePlus One user.
I
so,
did. I got the OnePlus One on a whim, and I really liked it. I did not get the OnePlus 2. I opted for getting my Nexus 6P instead. But the OnePlus 3 will be coming out, and they're offering it with a special loop
Well, these are leaks.
VR headset.
Well, we're
Supposedly.
anticipating it's coming
Allegedly.
out. Yeah, but these
Allegedly.
are leaks. Yeah, these are just reports right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess you just pay the $5 shipping, and the rest of the headset is free. I guess that's similar to Google Cardboard.
Yeah, she's talking about the VR.
Yes.
So yeah, there's two stories coming out of OnePlus this week. They have a VR system that you could have gotten for free on their website. Of course, it's all sold out, right? And the second story is the OnePlus 3, which Lida was talking about. Really, do you want to talk a little bit about the specs on that and what we could potentially expect from the OnePlus 3?
It's supposed to have a 5.5-inch 1080p with a 820 Snapdragon, 64 gigabytes, and a 16 megapixel front camera, I believe.
Right. And the big question I have is, does it have NFC? And I think from what we've been reading from the leaks, it does have NFC. So they did solve that problem. It can use Android Pay this time. I don't know. What do you guys think? Did we leave OnePlus behind? I mean, this is after just talking about the Axon Pro for about $400. If this is priced around 300 something, I don't know. Would you buy one for it's 1080p? You know,
I don't know. I feel like
have you moved on from OnePlus?
I
Are we
do.
over the flagship killer?
I
do we have new
do.
flagship killers now?
I feel like I've moved on. I don't know. I don't know exactly when I felt like I was okay leaving it too, but somewhere between the OnePlus 2 and now, I guess I just forgot about it.
I personally feel like there's just better options out there for the similar price point. When the OnePlus 1 came out, it was such a crazy price for those specs that people were like, we have to buy it no matter what. Even if it's a product that we've never heard of, the specs validated the price. But now we look at the Moto X Pure, which was last year, and the Axon 7. Look at the specs on that. You also look at like the one, even the Nexus 6P was only about $500.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
if it's about the same price and it's higher specs, Quad HD screen,
You might as well.
better camera, better fingerprint scans, subjectively a better fingerprint sensor. You know, it kind of just left OnePlus in the dust a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so this phone, the OnePlus 3, if it's true, running Marshmallow, it's only 5.5. Well, it is 5.5 inches, and it's only a 1080p screen, even though it's a battery saver. People might look at this and say, "There's better options out there."
It doesn't really stand out. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe OnePlus is finally gone. So that's a short-lived reign, if anything. But yeah, so they tried a gimmick with the free VR. If you went on their website on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and you were one of the lucky ones to find out about it early, and you went on there, you could have clicked the button, and they would have shipped it to you for $5, and you could have got it for free, essentially.
Yep.
And the OnePlus, they want you to actually go on their digital store to pre-order
Pre-order it on
the OnePlus 3. So kind of gimmicky as a marketer.
I think so. I don't know. It sounded kind of similar to what Samsung was doing too, and you participated.
Yes,
in that
I
before.
purchased the S7 and it came with free Gear VR, which I think looks very similar to the Loop VR.
Loop VR, yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to buy the S7 through the Gear VR. No,
yeah,
you bought it and it came.
It's a promotional offer when purchasing an S7.
It was like a buy one get one free kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for what Samsung was doing. What they're doing here is you have to order the Loop. Is it called the Loop?
The Loop
Yeah,
VR,
the Loop.
yes.
You have to order the Loop VR for free. They send it to you for free first, and then you have to put it on and order the OnePlus through a virtual store.
Right, it's like the opposite though.
It's like you have to
Yeah.
use the VR.
You have to use the VR, and you're supposed to go on a digital
Yeah.
virtual store to purchase the OnePlus 3. Am I getting that correct? Is
You
that
still need to attach the phone to the
you can
VR?
use your old phone?
Your old phone?
Can you download the app or something?
I guess I don't know. They didn't really. I don't quite know how that works actually.
So, are you still purchasing? Can you still purchase the the VR through their website, or do you have to purchase it through the VR? That's what I'm kind of confused about, because what they're saying is they want to launch this as will apparently double as a shopping experience, a virtual shopping experience, and they were only giving away 30,000 copies, which I'm sure were gone really fast. And it's shipping on June 6th. So if you're one of the lucky ones to get it, good for you. And you can order the OnePlus 1 or OnePlus 3 quicker than everybody else, apparently. But yeah, I guess you can buy it off the website too, right?
The Loop.
No, the OnePlus 3.
Yeah.
The Loop is already gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess you can buy it off the website later too.
Well, moving on from the OnePlus 3 to something we were just talking about. We mentioned a little bit right there, the Motorola stuff. So Motorola is also, if you haven't heard or you were under a rock for a while, Motorola was purchased by Lenovo. So Motorola is owned by Lenovo now. And Lenovo, of course, is a Chinese company. They make at least 20 different types of phones every single year. It's crazy. I don't think anybody actually likes Lenovo phones.
I don't know anyone that's ever really used one.
Because they're not really sold in America. Yeah. They sell their laptops and stuff, but not really
not the phones.
The phones. Yeah. However, the Moto X is a very beloved brand in America. People love the Moto X for their near stock experience, previously quick updates, not really quick anymore. But the Moto X was a beloved phone, and this version, this 2016 edition, is the first Motorola phone that has been completely revamped by Lenovo since the purchase. Because last year it was still kind of Motorola who had full say.
Right.
This year Lenovo has full control over Motorola, so it's literally called the Lenovo Moto, and they got rid of the X branding, and now it's called the Moto Z. Which I find ironic because Sony just got rid of their Z to move to the X, and now Lenovo is moving from their X to the Z.
It's weird. They're just swapping at this point.
So, do you want to read the story?
Well, the Moto Z Play is supposed to be the more affordable version.
So there's two phones that Lenovo is announcing on June 9th.
There's the Play and the Style. My bad. The Play, well, I guess the Style is probably the main one. That's supposed to be their flagship, and it's supposed to have a 5.5-inch quad HD display, a 13-megapixel camera.
The Style.
Yes. And the Snapdragon 820. And then the Z Play is supposed to be the more affordable version, and allegedly also has the 1080p display as well.
And did I read somewhere that it also has a bigger battery too? The Play. The cheaper one has a bigger battery, so they're following the trend that they set last year with the X.
Yeah.
And looking at these pictures, supposedly on the back you can also attach these things called Moto mods, and they have these little pins. So it's kind of like the G4, except instead of detaching it, you just attach it onto the pins on the back. So it's like a case on top of it. Benny, I know you have a little experience with the G4 and the G5 and the Friends. I mean, do you like the mods? I mean, is it
make
useful?
a difference for you?
It's very different. It's very similar to the LG G5. It has they call it Friends, and you can detach the battery. You just pull out. You can push. It's like a magazine on a gun. You push a button, and then the bottom slides out, revealing the battery. And then I think the G5 at that time when I got it, it came with a promotional offer of a free battery. So when you run out of juice, you could just swap it out and plug it back in, and you're good to go.
Have you used it before?
I got my hands on it, but I've never used the LG smartphone.
The Friends. Have you actually detached it and used the attachments in everyday life use?
Oh no, it's not really too
right.
I mean, they have this camera grip, which is nice. When you put in the camera grip, it's almost
It's like you can take it.
You can take pictures as if you're using a regular camera, but it adds bulk to the phone though.
And you also have to carry that.
You have to carry that.
Yeah, the extra attachment, right?
The extra attachment.
If you don't already have it attached to it.
Right. Yeah. You have to carry that with you, and it adds this much of thickness to the phone.
Right.
Yeah, but it does come with an extra battery pack, I think, with the camera grip.
So, as someone who actually has access to a modular type of phone, I'm doing the quotes because it's not really fully modular, but as someone who has access to that, what do you think of the Moto Z? Something where it's similar, except instead of detaching it, you would just attach it to the pins on the back. Apparently, Lenovo Moto is also saying that they have attachments, the Moto mods, for a pro camera mod, an adventure mod, a theater mod, a stereo mod, a power mod, and a style mod. So a lot of mods.
Different kinds to choose from.
What do you think of this? Do you think this is a gimmick, using something after using the G5 and something that has modularity?
Modularity. Is it something that you think would make you want to buy it?
I'm not sure if I'm too sold on adding stuff to the phone. I mean, we all want phones to be simple and to be compact and able to be put in our pockets. And adding bulk just kind of defeats the purpose of getting it.
Yeah, I mean, just fitting those 6-inch phones nowadays in your pocket and then adding another camera attachment or a style mod or stereo mod.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like I'm on a date. Or no, I was at work, right? So I brought I would bring the pro camera mod. And then later on in the night I have a date. I didn't have time to go home. So that means I have to also carry the style mod or whatever type of mod in my pocket the whole day. So I'm pretty bulked up. So I definitely get what you're saying there. Yeah, I personally, I was a huge fan of the Moto X 2014. I think that was the perfect phone in terms of design language. A lot of little things that I didn't like bad battery, very bad battery, very bad camera. But
this is still a really well-loved phone.
Very good experience.
Yeah.
Love the customizability of it. But I think just the Moto X the Motorola branding of the Moto X has gone so far from what made it great
Yeah.
that it's unrecognizable. This is basically like a Lenovo phone that was flooding the market in China. It's not even really a Motorola phone anymore. So, I mean, we're going to give it the benefit of the doubt and we'll take a look at it, or we potentially might take a look at it, depending on the full pricing of it. But yeah, it's going to be released in the US later on this year, probably around the fall time. So, yeah, we'll take a look at it. We'll talk about it after June 9th when they have the Lenovo Tech World in San Francisco. So stay tuned and we will talk about this subject again when it's official. But we do have it confirmed that the Lenovo Moto Z is replacing the Moto X. So,
Isn't that crazy though? It's like at the beginning we were talking about all these not new, but all these Chinese companies, coming in and doing all this stuff. Isn't it crazy how it's like the old names like Motorola used to make stuff that we were so excited for. Now we're kind of
it's taking over. These Chinese brands are taking over all the other brands.
Yeah.
Lenovo's purchased a Motorola they bought it from Google. So it's true. And this also takes us to our next story. Another corporate takeover from China. Yikes. We are reporting on, or we're taking a look, reports are flooding out that the web browser Opera, so if you don't know, Opera is
Is it Opera or Opera?
Opera, sorry. Opera. Sorry, Opera. Opera is a web browser that a lot of developers use, or if you really like reading code, Opera gives you a lot of flexibility. And it's not a very popular browser, but it's been around for a while. It's a Norwegian-owned company. Recently, I think just last week, it was approved. The board approved a sale to be purchased by a Chinese corporation for $1.2 billion. That is a crazy sum of money to buy for a web browsing company.
That's slowly dying off.
And the company, do we have the Chinese suitor? It is
led by Chinese investment Golden Brick Silk Road.
Right, from Shenzhen. So, yeah. I mean, it says they're purchasing it along with limited partners, a gaming firm and a security firm. So,
Yeah.
Why are they buying this? Why are they buying a web browser? What's the purpose of this?
Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I guess they still have a good number of users. Supposedly, Opera still has over 120 million users, which is still a good chunk of people. So,
do you think this will influence the web browsing experience on this in general? Because we were talking about this on the pre-show. Benny was saying how in China they block Google, right? Everything Google is blocked.
Yes.
Same thing with the Mi. All the Mi products that we import here, it doesn't come with the Google Play Store. You have to manually flash the APKs. So, I mean, this is an open source kind of web browser. I mean, well, are they going to strip it apart? Like, why would they purchase something like this? You know, I find it very interesting when I read this because I have used this browser when I was first starting out with tech stuff. I was tinkering with it a little bit, and it's very confusing. If you're a general user, you probably have never used this one before. It's not as popular as, say, Internet Explorer, Chrome, or Mozilla Firefox, but it does have 120 million users.
Yeah,
so
it's still popular.
this might affect those users and their mobile browser. Their mobile browser is actually pre-installed, I think, on the OnePlus, OnePlus 2, or one of the brands. That it's pre-installed now. So, yikes! What's going on? Or do you think this is just the start of something where they sell? Now that a Chinese company owns this, do you think they're going to go to other OEMs and ask them or tell them, "Hey, let's get into a deal"? Just like
That's what I'm
Samsung and
thinking.
Microsoft have a deal where they upload all the Samsung apps onto the Microsoft apps onto the
Onto the
Samsung,
Samsung, yeah.
right? It becomes bloatware. So do you think Opera?
Opera.
Do you think the Opera browser? Do you think the Opera mobile browser will be the new bloatware for Chinese phones like Lenovo or ZTE or
I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean, especially in China, you know, where Google can't really be used. I mean, I guess there's a potential space in there for that.
But let me ask you guys. So we'll start with Benny. Do you use the stock web browser on your phone?
No, I don't. Right when I get the phone, I download Google Chrome.
Right.
Same thing.
Right, because Nexus is the one, but when you were using the OnePlus or the Mi,
Nope.
you were still using
I
Chrome,
was still
right?
using Chrome.
Same
or
with me.
Firefox, yeah.
Yeah, the first thing I download if it's not on my phone is Chrome. Same thing with I've been using the iPhone for a good 2 months now, and I use Chrome. I replaced Safari with Chrome right away. So yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot if this is on my phone, but
We'll see.
for the most part, I
Yeah.
think most of us use whatever web browser we're acquainted with. So it's pretty interesting, though, that they purchased a web browser. A Chinese company purchased a Norwegian web browser. So for 1.2 billion, that's a lot of money. And moving on to, I believe, our final story of the week from China. We're going back to good old Xiaomi. Benny, you want to read the story? Okay, no, I guess Lida can read. I guess Lida can read the story. Benny's already had enough of Xiaomi
That's
after.
what happens when you play your tablet. Yeah, so Xiaomi is unveiling a ton of products, I guess, but they recently unveiled the Mi drone. It's going to cost about $460 for the 4K version, or $380 for 1080p. It's supposed to be a quadcopter with a 3-axis gimbal, 4K camera, and a remote that uses your Mi phone as a viewfinder, which is pretty cool. It's also going to have a camera module and rotors that are detachable, and the battery is supposed to be pretty impressive too, 5100 milliamps.
They claim that you can get 27 minutes of endurance. So that's not too bad, especially considering a lot of similar spec'd out drones can only stay up in the air for about 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So 27 minutes of flight time on a single charge is not too bad.
Yeah.
It also uses both GPS and GLONASS for positioning. So kind of weird, right? I mean, Benny, in the top of the show, he was saying how Xiaomi basically makes everything. And they just added something else
Yeah.
to the list.
They're making everything.
But I do have to say, as someone who does work with different drones, but different types of drones, spec-wise, this is pretty up there. It's just like all the phones and the tablets. They
Pretty
spec
impressive,
spec the whole boatload out of the hood. It's all good in the hood. They spec'd it out like top-end specs. This is a DJI comparable specs, and DJI sells this stuff for like upwards of $1,000. So for half the price, you're buying it for half the price. It's pretty good, and based off of previous experience with Xiaomi products, the build quality of these
pretty
things
reliable.
are really nice.
Yeah.
Like this is dual glass. This, in my opinion, feels better than the S7. I know we disagree with that. We talked about that in the pre-show, but I actually feel like the dual glass and the subtle curves on this phone with the chamfered edges feels nicer than the actual S7 Edge, in my opinion. And this phone costs a quarter. This phone only costs $200, right? But do you agree that the build quality for the price is amazing?
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, Xiaomi makes amazing products for a quarter of the price of what you would get
It's
from Samsung.
It's insane. Like Samsung, if they made this and sold it, this would be at least $800, $700 to $800. So, I mean, in terms of this drone, I mean, sky's the limit here. You know,
Didn't Xiaomi also make that thing that I really wanted? It was like a hoverboard, but with a little.
yeah, the 9bot, the 9bot Mini. So, for those of you who didn't know, Xiaomi is actually an investor in Segway. So they actually created a mini Segway, the 9bot Mini.
I really wanted one of those
And
when it came out.
Benny, did they have that in the Xiaomi store when you went to China? The 9bot Mini?
Probably
I don't
not.
remember seeing that. I'm not sure.
I don't remember seeing
I don't
that.
recall, but they had a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the 9bot Mini, I haven't even heard much about that. I know it's for sale and people have been using it a little bit. But yeah, everyone I asked in the Xiaomi stores when we went to Hong Kong, they'd never heard of it or.
I guess it's
know.
not as popular. But the drone will be crowdfunded on the Mi Home app, according to Xiaomi, and that's starting May 26th. So that was actually a couple days ago. And the 4K option will be available for testing via an open beta program at the end of July. So
Right. So I mean, for $460 for a 4K version and a $380 model for a 1080p version, this is really good pricing. So if it does go to the mass consumer, and I wonder if Xiaomi's going to sell this in the U.S. store, because right now they have the headphones.
Yes.
They have the Mi Band, I think, right, and the battery packs on their store, and I think they just announced some other stuff is coming to the U.S., but nothing big, nothing like the phones or the tablets or the TVs yet.
Yeah.
So do you think the drone is what they were teasing coming to the U.S. soon, too, in the future?
I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have to wait on the drone too.
I think the phones will come here first.
Yeah,
before
I think
Really?
so
You think the
too.
phones will come
the
here before the
phones
drones?
or the tablets.
Or the tablets.
Because the
yeah.
phones, if they come to the U.S. market, they're going to face a lot of patent rules. They're going to be sued like crazy by Samsung and Apple and even I don't know, HTC or something like that, right?
Well, same goes for the drones, right? I mean, here.
Well,
we
the
have-
drones, I don't necessarily know about that. Like, this does look similar to the DJI, but it's not necessarily the same. I haven't seen as much war between the drone manufacturers compared to the phone. The phone ones, every
manufacturers.
single week you hear about one OEM suing another. You know, there's always
It's
a
true.
lawsuit.
It's very true.
So, yeah, you know, I'm actually betting against that. So these two,
Okay.
Lida and Benny,
Okay.
are saying that the phones and tablets will come first. I'm actually going to say, or predict, that I think the drone will be in the U.S. markets before all the consumer electronics. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Then he's like, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll
20,
see.
$20. $20.
All right, $20. We'll bet $20. We can buy a couple of your fitness trackers for that money. But yeah, that wraps it up for the China stuff. Let me just go over my notes really quickly. Yeah, that
think
covers
that-
all the subjects. Before we close up the episode, is there anything you want to talk about in terms of Google I/O? Because that did happen, and a lot of things we talked about last time were, it came to fruition. Chrome OS will get Android apps.
Yeah.
There was an Android VR, but it wasn't what we were thinking. It's called Daydream. So Daydream is this completely new product or new system that your future Android phones and your future products will have to be certified for Daydream. So they'll be called Daydream Ready. So it's a new virtual reality simulation kind of thing. So pretty interesting there.
Yeah.
There was also two different apps that were coming out, that Allo and the Duo.
Allo and yes.
So one's a voice chatting, so it's kind of like FaceTime, like Apple FaceTime, except you can see a little preview before you open it. And the Messenger app is.
I'm excited for that.
The Messenger app is pretty cool.
I'm excited for that one. I think I'll be taking my emoji game to a new level.
Would you replace your?
I use Google Messenger.
Messenger?
Now. So potentially,
Yeah.
because Google Messenger is it's really simple. It's
It's very
straightforward.
clean. That's why we like it. Though,
Yeah, it's
right?
clean and it works. But I would be excited for Allo. I mean,
Right. Well, yeah. When those are released, we'll definitely take a look at that and review it on the show. What else was? For the Chromebook stuff. So not every single model of the Chromebook will get the Android apps, and I'm very disappointed on that. So my 2013 Chromebook Pixel will not be getting the Android apps, but we will check it out because we do have the Chromebook Flip.
Yes.
So
play around with that when it comes out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what else is? Am I missing anything big from Google I/O? Those are the big headlines.
I think those are the main ones.
Big
yeah.
headliners.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Final notes. Anything you want to say, Benny?
No, I think we covered everything.
Any tips for any of our
Any
our
crazy
viewers?
stories from China that you want to throw out here right now?
Just tossed him in the spotlight there.
Well, if he has to think that long, then obviously nothing amazing happened. But yeah, thank you so much for dropping by the show. You know, your expertise in, just being there recently and seeing the stores, that's a big thing because
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to
very
one of the
exciting.
retail stores and I've never got a chance. So it's pretty awesome that you got
I think
to do
you
that.
would enjoy it.
Oh, I would love to.
Because I was on the quest to find a Xiaomi store
Yeah.
in this city, Jinan in China. It's a small city,
Mm-hmm.
downtown. And I walked through many department stores. I didn't see any Xiaomi products, but I did see other phones. And you could walk from one mall, like a store, and then across the street there'll be another phone
Yeah.
store selling the
Yeah.
same products.
Oh, yeah.
And then we walked around in 20 minutes. I walked through like 4 department stores that is selling the same phones.
Yeah.
What were the
You get
most
them
popular
anywhere.
brands you were watching that you caught your eye there?
Oh well, yeah. Whenever I looked around, most people seem to have Apple products
Right, iPhone.
more
The
than
iPhone is
more than
still a
anything.
thing
I
there,
think
yeah.
mainly because of Google, since it's blocked in China, so the Android phones don't have much use
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Did
But
you see any like Meizus? Did you see
I didn't see.
Huawei?
I saw a few Huawei's.
The Huawei's.
Oppo is I think pretty big there too.
Oppo, yeah,
Yeah.
the Oppo
I
phone
saw many Vivo phones.
too. Okay.
That's about it. Mostly it's
Mostly Apple still, huh?
the Apple, yeah.
Yeah, Lida and I were
everywhere.
actually talking about that. We were talking about this on the pre-show too. When we went to Hong Kong in 2015, we were actually talking to a lot of different people, older generation people, like 50s, 60s, just talking about technology and stuff like that. And these people are general consumers, and I was shocked that they were using smartphones, which I shouldn't be, but they are. They were using Samsung, but they all knew what Xiaomi was when Lida and I were asking about Xiaomi stores, even though they were like, we heard about the Xiaomi store, and yeah, we know what Xiaomi is. You know, they call it Xiaomi in Cantonese, or how do you say it in Mandarin?
Xiaomi.
Xiaomi. Well, yeah, there you go. It's exactly the exact translation. But yeah, in Hong Kong, a lot of the older folk knew what the brand was, and I was shocked. Even though they didn't use the phone, they were using like Ben was saying, Apple products and Samsung products too. But they knew what Xiaomi was. Well, it was a huge contrast. Where in America, in North America, Canada, and the U.S., the general consumer has no idea this brand exists.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. Even when I went to Toronto, where it's a huge Asian population, everybody is Cantonese, they all speak Cantonese. A lot of them didn't know what Xiaomi was. And I'm pretty shocked. Only the really big tech people who follow tech like us know these brands. And it's a contrast because in I guess in China, everybody knows what Xiaomi is,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
In Hong Kong, Japan, and then when I went to Korea, everybody knew what Xiaomi was. It's just, we're in a bubble here in North America.
It's true.
It's really weird, right? I think OnePlus made a name for themselves because they were selling dirt cheap stuff and it just kept passing around, right?
Yeah.
But Xiaomi, it hasn't caught on.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's weird how it hasn't caught on, right? But that's that's why we bring episodes like this to you, so you can expand your horizons and know that they can make products that are as beautiful and as well functioning as a Samsung or Apple phone for a quarter of the price.
And soon, I guess they'll be selling all kinds of products for your home too.
Well, they already have.
do.
Yeah, they
but-
already do. Yeah, they're actually Xiaomi's most popular product. I don't know if this is statistically true, but what I've read is the air freshener, the air purifier is actually their most popular.
Really, I
seller.
saw that at the side. At the side mall
Yeah,
at the
that's
store.
yeah. People buy that all the time. So I think that's coming to the U.S. too, actually, or if it's already not in the U.S.
Okay.
So maybe we'll buy it and try it out too.
Give it a try.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week. Be sure to subscribe and like our videos. We'll be back very soon with another episode of the Sypno Tech Show. And thank you so much once again, Ben, for tuning
thank
in.
you.
Thank you,
having me.
Benny.
And this is Lida, and I'm Alex, and we're Sypno Tech, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.